Takeoff.
Check.
Thrust ref.
Thrust set. Check. $80 knots.
Hold.
V1.
Rotate. Positive climb.
Gear up.
Gear up.
LNAV.
Check. 400 feet.
Thrust ref.
Check.
VNAV speed.
Climb.
Autopilot.
Check.
Here we are. So that's gonna be a transition. So I'm gonna reset standard. Yep. And we'll continue the climb to 350 now. Flaps 5.
Speed checked. Flaps 5.
Flaps 1.
Speed checked. Flaps 1.
Flaps up.
Speed checked. Flaps up.
Oh, it looks like it's actually flying over Amsterdam, pretty much. Wow, amazing. Amazing. After takeoff checklist.
After takeoff checklist. After takeoff checklist complete.
Yeah, it's true. First class, when you think the price is crazy, but first class is very nice. You have to admit, and obviously it's all like a status thing, a social thing. So yeah. So here we go on the departure. So yeah, we made flight level 65, no bother, and flight level 250 on the departure as well. After the departure, actually. When you join the route structure, then it's gonna be okay as well, I believe. Oh, I didn't know you were called Whiskey Washington. That's a good thing. Seatbelt sign off.
Seatbelt signs off.
And that's it. Pretty much all sorted out now as far as the SOP and the procedures are concerned. Passing flight level 100, all the lights come off except the strobe lights. Obviously the beacon and the nav lights remain on, but that's more like obviously navigation lights to be seen, and the beacon also to show that the engines are running. But of course, if the aircraft is in the air, the engines are running. It's more like the beacon is more like for it's got like more like of a ground function. On the ground, when you see the beacon on, that means that if the engines are now running, that the engines are gonna be started soon. So it's a kind of signal for the ground crew in particular to be very cautious and to be aware that the engines are about to be started. And I think the beacon is more used in that way than once in the air, of course, unless something is wrong. But in the air, we know that the engines are running. So now the walk around is actually both the job of the pilots and the engineer. The engineer would do the walk around before we do, and then we just do the walk around as well to double check, make sure things are good. But yeah, both, I guess. Right, so it's about to level off at 350. Go speed enough path. Just as we start the turn. That's already Düsseldorf down there. Yeah, that's Düsseldorf with the two runways. So by the time we get to the cruise from Amsterdam, we're already in over Düsseldorf, so it goes very quickly. Yeah, Netherlands is a place I go to from time to time. Yeah. I'm happy to reveal. The backup altimeter. You mean this one here, yeah? The little one in the middle. Is that the one you mean, yeah? Well, this one is actually a kind of how many? 1, 2, 3 in one. Since you've got the speed, you've got the altitude, you've got the attitude of the aircraft as well. It's a 3-in-1 instrument. Yeah, and you mean with this space here as well? Sorry, what you mean? There's the space here for another instrument. On older types, there used to be it was a different layout. There used to be just the attitude, just the PFD in itself, and then on the lower part, I think it was the speed, the altitude, and obviously something to set the QNH. So there were two instruments before, and now they combined it into one. But in all the types, or in the aircraft which were manufactured like a while ago, they had two instruments here. So kind of just the attitude, and then the speed and the altitude in the second part. This is the more kind of modern layout. I prefer this one. Actually, it's got more information and it's closer to the actual PFD, whereas the old one, you had two instruments and you had to look at the attitude of the aircraft, you know, on the horizon. Up here have the altitude and the speed. Down here is kind of oh, you've got two, yeah. For cabin temperature, the control is up here. So you got the flight deck temperature here. You can make it a bit colder in that direction, a little bit warmer in this direction there. So obviously C for cold and W for warm. You can look at the on the air seat uptick here. Yeah, here it is there. Yeah, it's visible. Cool. Well, you got the temperature in the flight deck, so at the moment it's set for 24. If you try to make it a little bit colder, and it's set at 23. So for us, it's kind of, you make it, you know, the way you like. I don't like it particularly cold. I don't like 23, 24 is good, I guess. For the cabin, you can play with this as well. You see that actually this one kind of controls the master, and set it to 22, and all the cabins are set to 22 degrees, and you can kind of make it as you wish now, 21 in all the different cabins. Usually the switch here is kind of left in the default position like this, 24 degrees, and then the crew, the purser in particular, from within the cabin can kind of play around with the temperatures in each section. So you kind of set the default position here, you don't really touch it, and then the cabin can be adjusted by the crew from within the cabin, of course. Yeah, the cabin temperature would stay around the default. We would set up here maybe at 23 or 24. So 23 as is at the moment here. And as I said, then the crew can adjust it from within the cabin. So if people think they are too cold or too hot, then in specific sections then of the cabin, then the crew can adjust the temperature per section. If you look, you've got like those 6 sections there, A, B, C, D, E, F. Depends on the cabin layout, of course. If there's a first class, then first class is probably gonna be the A section. If there's a business class, then economy. Usually on most flights, on most airlines nowadays, it's a little bit on that layout. So first class, business class, economy class, or otherwise business class, maybe a premium economy and then economy. So the more fancy class will always be at the front. So A would be either first class or business class, and then you would go back. Normally D, E and F would be economy class, and the B and C section some sort of business or premium economy or something like that. Yeah, I've seen circuit breakers kind of pop out. Yeah. Here they don't work, so we can't really do. The panel is in place. It actually looks to me like it's fairly realistic, to be honest. There might be one or two missing, maybe, but looking at it now, kind of looks like the real thing. Let me get rid of this one. But obviously here they're not activated, so yeah. We're not really supposed to play with the circuit breakers anyway. And I wouldn't personally play with the circuit breakers unless you're on the ground. I remember before, like one departure once a long time ago, we had like some sort of ICAS message with something to do with the navigation system, and the engineers on the ground like said, oh, you need to pull, try to pull, I remember actually, hold on. Oops, trying to adjust the view. Yes, they pull the MMR-C, the multi-mode receiver C, multi-mode receiver left here, and multi-mode receiver, this one says left, but it should be right unless there's a right somewhere. But yeah, there were 3 to pull. Actually, this should be right, I think, because the left is already here. I don't see why it's reproduced on this side, so there might be a little, unless the MMR right is somewhere. But yeah, but that was on the ground. I wouldn't pull CBs when you are in the air. What's that? Very often the engineers, if there's something that's showing up in the system, they would pull CBs just to reset the thing. At the end of the day, it's like a big computer, so very often, as you know, a computer, you just switch it off, reboot it, and by wonder it works again. So these aircraft are working a little bit like this as well. Yeah, that's the saying generally, is to if the circuit breaker pops out, to put it back once. If it pops out again, then game over, so to speak. Yeah. But they always say that the 777 is ICAS driven aircraft, so you really react to whatever is in the ICAS, whatever problem there is, then you react to that. Do a checklist, follow the checklist. Troubleshooting is kind of frowned upon, so you're not really supposed to try to troubleshoot any issues, because you could make it worse. Engineers and kind of maintenance control can help you maybe to yeah, I was going to say troubleshoot, but these guys actually quite funny, because they say, well, you can try to troubleshoot, but it's at your own risk, and we take no responsibility for it. So yeah, unless the situation is desperate or whatever, I wouldn't try to troubleshoot. Yeah, it's true. It's true, you can, it's totally right, Strato, you can just reboot, that's it. It's a big flying computer at the end of the day. But yeah, otherwise, like we're talking about the temperature and the air system. If we look at the synaptic again, above all, for the air conditioning in the cabin, you've got the air coming in through the bleed system in the engine, so the engines pick up air from outside and send it to the two packs, and then there's also the trim, but mainly the packs, just to simplify it, and then the air is kind of brought into the cabin and conditioned so that it's not minus 50 or whatever when it goes into the cabin, so it's the air is warmed up and then in the cabin. So like always, there's like two packs, but you can fly with one. That's part of the redundancy systems of the aircraft.